How's it going, producer? Thales here, and today we'll talk about songwriting and the role of each note in a scale in the context of storytelling and expressing feelings through a melody. What I'm about to show you will help connect your lyrics to the sounds and combine them to convey the feelings you choose to express to make sure your words really mean what they're supposed to. This is not an exact science, it's actually very subjective and open to interpretation, so none of what I'm about to show you is a rule, just guidelines and tools. Very useful tools that help me make music every single day. I remember when I read this book called The Craft of Songwriting by Scarlet Keys, a professor at Berklee College of Music, and it opened my eyes to this concept. Then I started actively listening to a bunch of pop songs, and suddenly it all made sense. I started thinking of melodies as the tone of my voice in a conversation. Whenever you're making a melody for your lyrics, think about how you would say those words in a conversation. Which words would make the pitch of your voice change? Like when you ask a question and your voice gets higher in pitch. When we get angry, having a fight, we go higher too. When we're saying something tender, we talk in a lower pitch, right? What if I told you we can connect these conversational tones with the scale degrees of musical notes to emphasize the meaning and feeling of each word in your melody? Think about a major scale. It's made of 7 notes that repeat on each octave of a keyboard, for example. If we take the scale of C major for simplicity, it's all the white keys on the keyboard. Each note that belongs to the scale of C major has a role based on its relationship to C, which is the first degree called the tonic. The second scale degree is the supertonic, which is D. The third scale degree is the mediant, which is E. The fourth is the subdominant, which is F. The fifth is the dominant, which is G. The sixth is the submediant, which is A. And the seventh is the leading tone, which is B. Each degree carries a different level of tension or intensity when used in a melody. We can say some of them sound stable and some sound unstable. The unstable degrees are the second, which sounds like it's asking to move to the first degree. In other words, when you play the second degree, it creates this tension that wants to resolve by playing the first degree instead, which feels like home. The fourth degree is also unstable and wants to resolve its tension by moving to the third degree. The sixth degree is unstable and wants to move down to the fifth degree. And the seventh is super unstable and wants to move back to the first degree. Now, the first, third, and fifth degrees are like home in your melody. Every time you move your melody away from home, it wants to go back. These are the stable notes. So if your lyrics are talking about good feelings, stable feelings, it makes sense to use the stable degrees of the scale you chose. On the other hand, if the words require a little more sauce, if they're more emotional and tense, the unstable degrees will help you achieve that effect. They bring the emotion and drama to the melody. If you sing the same words using different scale degrees, you notice how they almost seem to mean different things. Listen to this comparison. I'll sing the words "I'm fine" using only the 5th degree and the 1st degree of the scale. Stable notes against the C major chord. I'm fine. You can tell I'm fine, right? What if I use the 6th and 7th notes against the same chord? I'm fine. Am I really fine? Something must be wrong and I'm not telling you. So make sure to use both stable and unstable notes in your melody. If you only pick stable notes, it may become boring. If you only pick unstable notes for your melody, it will sound extremely tense. Having a back and forth of tension and resolution keeps things interesting. Usually the notes that bring the most emotion and tension to melodies are the 6th and 7th scale degrees. So maybe save those for the words with the strongest emotional meaning, especially if they are the highest notes in a certain phrase, because it's almost like you're raising your voice in a conversation. And as the YouTuber Andrew Huang pointed out in one of his videos, The tension caused by the second degree of the scale has been overused in melodies of pop music during the last 10 years. It brings a light, not so stressful kind of tension that actually sounds good when played against any chord within the scale, and it's surrounded by stable notes, so it resolves very easily by going up to the third degree or down to the first degree. So many pop songs have used this trick lately, and if you listen to The Weeknd, you notice that most of his songs are built around the second degree. Well, maybe that's the pop note, like blues has the blues note. Now, the harmony can affect how we perceive the melody. We can use chords to soften the tension in the unstable notes of a melody if the note belongs to the chord. For example, still in the key of C major, if you play the note D over a D minor chord, that note belongs to the chord, so it won't sound so unstable. The same strategy works backwards. If you play a stable note over a chord that doesn't include that note, the melody will sound more unstable, like singing the note C over the E minor chord. Even though C is the first degree of the scale and the most stable note, you won't feel that stable against the E minor because it doesn't belong to the chord. The chords will also color the mood of the melody even when the notes are included. Let's have another comparison. Again, I'll sing I'm Fine using the stable first and fifth degrees against the C major chord, which includes those notes. I'm fine. Super stable and believable, right? Now, the same words, same melody with the first and fifth degrees of the scales, but now I'm going to use the A minor chord, which is the sixth chord in the scale of C major. I'm fine. It's a sad chord, right? It brings a completely different mood. It brings a different meaning. Now you know for sure I'm not fine, right? I'm just pretending. So that's the whole idea. Use the right melody notes and chords at the right time, and you get to decide what your listeners will feel when they hear your songs. Stable notes when singing stable words or phrases, and unstable notes for singing unstable lyrics. If you use the notes and chords without purpose, you risk having your listeners feel something different than what you intended when you wrote the song. But with this toolbox that's also available for you, you can make sure to use music theory to actually sound like you mean the words you're saying in your lyrics. All the elements in your song should support the narrative and the emotion you're trying to convey. Sound good? That's it for today's video, even though there's a lot more. We'll talk about chords and melodies in the next videos. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on so you don't miss them. And if you learned anything today, please like this video because that's a big help. I'm Thales and we'll talk soon.